Friends, if we could gather back together. We're going to continue welcoming Shabbat with the singing of Lecha Dodi, welcoming the Sabbath bride into our midst. We are on page 20. We're going to be singing together with the chorus, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, with David and, with Brennan and our choir, sorry. And on our final verse, verse 9, we stand and face the door to welcome the Sabbath Queen into our midst. Not yet. But that is a good example of what we will be doing.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'sachor b'dibur echad, Hishmianu el hamayuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'letiferet v'litehila. Likrat Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lehu v'nilcha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nusucha, sof maaseh b'Shabbat chila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, Kiva ore kumi uri shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayich digna. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
We rotate back to face the bima, and we remain standing for the Baruch Hu, which can be found in your insert, and the Hebrew portion can be found on page 28. It's my pleasure to call forward Z. Livesey to lead us in the introduction to the Baruch Hu.
Are you listening to
prepare. In the early dawn, in the dark of night, when I turn to you, may I see the light. Will I finally know? Can you let me see? Can you help me find all the best in me? With an open heart, I can be aware. I will know at last blessings that I share. Then I hear your voice and I understand. I will be awake, I will be prepared. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yalalai, yalalai, yalalai,
We continue in the Hebrew on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chochma poteach sha'arim uvitvuna mishanei itim umachalif et hazmanim umisader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or uma'avir yom umevi layla umavdil ben yom uvein layla Adonai tzvaot shemo El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai ma'ariv aravim. On page 32 we read together at the bottom. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuta Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated as we continue with the Haftarah on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלבתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להוד על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך ובטבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם ארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
So usually during one of our Friday night services, there's a section after the silent prayer, close to after the silent prayer, when the rabbi gives some remarks. A mini sermon, a Devar Torah, a drash. Tonight, I'm going to do that now. The reason I'm going to do that now is because the next prayer that we're going to do is called the Micha Mocha. And Micha Mocha can be found on page 40. And if you look at it, there's something special about the first four words. Now, Iris, I know that you go to the Jewish day school. You know the song. But I'm going to ask you a different question, okay? And if you don't know the answer, it's okay, but I'm going to give you first dibs, okay? What is the first letter in the Micha Mocha? Is Mem. Now, the second word, it's sort of after the dash. What's the first letter in that word? That's a chaf, right? So we have Mem, chaf, and then what about the next word? A bet. And what is the last word, how it's spelled there? No, the last word on the first line. Yud. Okay, mem, kaf, bet, yud is actually a word, even though it looks like it's four words here. If you put the first letter, the initial letter of each of those together, you get a word. What is that word? Anyone? Who's Maccabee? Okay, so the Maccabees, as many of you know, and I know we have some visitors, so I'm going to just fill us all in. So the Maccabees feature in the story of Hanukkah as really important because what happened is that the Jews were living under the Hellenizing influence of the Greek Syrians, which means that they were subject to a culture and a political reality that was Greek. And there's a lot of things that are nice about Greek and Greece and Greek culture. I was going to say Grecian culture, but I guess Greek culture. And they were very appealing to many Jews at the time. But it sort of started to cross a line when the Jews were being told that it was no longer legal and possible and safe to practice our religion under the rulership of Antiochus. Now, there were some Jews who fought back, led by Judah, the son of Mattathias, and his brothers, and they were called the Maccabees. It's sort of, we treat it like a last name, but it probably was like a nickname because it means hammer, like that they would have strength, that they would bring to bear on this situation in which Judaism was under threat. So one of the miracles of the Hanukkah story is that the Maccabees won this battle. And the reason that's a miracle is because they were a tiny guerrilla force with not very many weapons. And you would think, if you were going to place bets, that the largest and most well-equipped army in the known world at the time would probably win if they were going to be in battle with this tiny band of brothers and their followers. And they didn't win, right? The Maccabees won and actually restored the ancient temple. Now, there's something about the temple that also is one of the miracles of Hanukkah. Does anybody want to fill us in on what that is? What was the miracle related to the... Oh, I see the Pastor Chris wants to. She really... You want to tell us? No? Okay. Yes, Marty. Right. So basically, you can see that we have menorahs here. They're, an artistic representation of menorahs. But these aren't for Hanukkah. Why aren't they for Hanukkah, Iris? These aren't for Hanukkah. Anyone know why? Right. Even when it's not Hanukkah. What's different between that and one of these, aside from their size? The number, what? Number of candles. Okay, so there were 7 in the ancient temple, and the only reason that we have 8 here plus 1 is because we want to remember the 8 days. Okay, so a midrash is when we take something in Torah and in our tradition and we say, what if? Or maybe it could happen this way. And that's what you just did. Okay, so I like that you're doing some midrash, but the menorah in the ancient temple showed that God was present. Now, the truth is that you don't need a flame for God to be present, but that's what it represented to the people. And they used oil. I have an oil menorah at home. Does anyone else have an oil Chanukiah? Yeah. Okay, so I have an oil one, and I have I went to the drugstore to get an eyedropper thing because it's the best way to put the oil in the, it's a tiny little hole and it's oil, and but I poured it in a dish, and it's gonna run out before Hanukkah, and I'm gonna have to pour some more into the dish. But if somebody said, hey, this is all you've got for the whole time, I might, put less and hope for the best. And, I had no reason to believe, I would have no reason to believe that it would last me the whole time. It's sort of like when your cell phone is on 1% and 2 days later you still have charge. It's just it's not, you wouldn't expect it, right? So, but what's interesting about the Hanukkah miracles is that, name another miracle in our tradition. The burning bush, okay. Wait, what happened at the burning bush?
The fire raged and raged, but didn't consume the bush.
And?
It was a holy place.
And then, God spoke out of the bush, right? Okay, there was an event that went with it, right? And the splitting of the sea, that was cinematography is called for, right? A flame, and there was some oil, and there was just more oil than you expected. Why is this the big? What is the big miracle here? It's a weird thing if you think about it. It's miraculous because it's not what you'd expect based on the laws of nature. But there are other miracles in the Torah that we don't have holidays for. Joshua and the walls of Jericho, and there's a lot of things that, the burning bush, there's no burning bush holiday. You could imagine that there could be, but there isn't. And I want to share with you an interesting teaching that comes partly from a scholar named Imu Shalev that I was studying this week, as well as from our educator and rabbinic intern, Alex Milanich. So I was discussing the Mi Chamocha, besides the fact that, it's an acronym. And sharing, which is that the Mi Chamocha is something we do every week. we have it right in front of us. And sometimes when we're looking for strength or we're looking for meaning, the thing from which we draw meaning or could draw meaning is right in front of us. We don't have to go looking for something else. The word Maccabee was right there in the prayer all along. And of course, it's not just the word, but it represents the idea that we can find strength in places that we've looked and maybe not seen it before. The other teaching that I wanted to share with you was that when it was the time of the splitting of the sea, that was a time in which there were prophets speaking God's will and speaking God's voice. And the Hanukkah story takes place much, much later. It takes place way in the future, beyond ancient times. I mean, it's sort of ancient to us, but it's much, much later. There's no prophecy at this time. The prophets have gone silent. And so we may look around for the big miracles. But even without the grand sweep of the narrative of prophecy, right in front of us, perhaps so small we don't take a chance, we don't take the opportunity to notice, there are miracles just waiting to be noticed. It's a reminder that even in dark times, when things are hard, when it's difficult to see our way into a bright future, a future that contains some light, even when we don't know how to take those next steps forward, much like the Maccabees, who had no reason to think that their fight would end in any kind of victory, that if we just look carefully, that God has been there all along. That Hanukkah challenges us to rely on faith in a deep way, in a way that was done by the Maccabees, was done by those who rebuilt and rededicated the temple. And it continues to be done today. We take the next step in front of us, even though we may not be able to see our way to the end. See, using the light that is in front of us, and when we need light again, further in the path, it will come. It will come even though we do not know how or when. There is light. We can't clasp it to us and never ignite it. The people who rededicated the Chanukiah, the menorah, could have said, nope, we're not going to use it because it's going to run out. But they said, no, we're going to take the next step and the next step and the next step, and we will find a way through. May each of us, may our people, may our community, may our world find a way to take these steps forward so that we might reach the other side of the sea and be able to exclaim, Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, who is like you among all the gods that are worshipped. Mi chamocha can be found on page 40.
לפניך, בוקע הים לפני משה ומרים, צאנו ואמרו,
אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
אמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. We continue on page 44 with Yismachu. It's my pleasure to call Z back to the bima.
ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, ישמחו במלכותך וקוראי עונה, ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, ישמחו במלכותך וקוראי עונה. המקדשי שביעייה כולם ישמחו ויתענגו מטובך, והשביר רצית בו, וקידשת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, ישמחו במלכותך וקוראי עונה, ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, ישמחו במלכותך וקוראי עונה. חמדת ימין אותו קראת, זכר למעשה, זכר למעשה בראשית. חמדת ימין אותו קראת, זכר למעשה, זכר למעשה בראשית. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, ישמחו במלכותך וקוראי עונה, ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, ישמחו במלכותך וקוראי עונה.
Please rise on page 46 for the Amidah.
Adonai sevataytita ufiyagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu b'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Hastei Avot B'imahot, U'mevii Gula Lifnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo V'yavam, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מחלל חיים חסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומק נופלים ורופא עולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומחיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לה, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לך חיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש שמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
You may be seated as we turn to page 55. Thank you, Z. We join together at the top of the page. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 57. You are with us in our prayer, our love and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. Please join with me. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha v'yirah na'avod. So on page 58 is the Hoda'ah prayer, a prayer of thanksgiving. And instead of reading the traditional text, it's our custom to call to mind, each of us individually, things for which we are personally grateful. Now, I'm going to ask people who want to share this out loud, but not everybody has to. But I do want everybody to bring to mind something for which you have gratitude. Something maybe that you're always thinking about, that you're grateful for. And this is just one more moment of gratitude for that blessing. Or maybe it's something that you usually don't notice. Something that maybe you don't even identify as a blessing most of the time, but yet provides you with a reason for gratitude. Hold that in your mind. The phrase at the beginning of this prayer that means we thank you is modim anachnu lach. And so I'm going to invite people to share who want to, something that you're grateful for, and I'm going to ask you to be brief because I have to repeat it so the people at home know what the heck's going on, because they can't hear you without a microphone. And then when you've shared and I've repeated, we'll join together in saying Modim Anachnu Lach together. Eric.
Well, I had, before your sermon this evening, I am grateful for all Hanukkah blessings, great and small miracles, great and small.
Eric is grateful for Hanukkah miracles, big and small. Modim Anachnu Lach. Iris. Thankful for having a roof over your head. Modim anachnu lach. Yes. For successful operation and PT and recovery for Rachel. Modim anachnu lach. Mike.
I'm thankful that two of my daughters and my granddaughter are coming to visit me tomorrow to have a fun party.
Mike is grateful for his daughters and granddaughter coming to celebrate Hanukkah with him tomorrow. Modim anachnu lach. Marty.
Grateful that so many of us chose to come here and be together tonight.
Marty's grateful that so many of us chose to come and be together tonight. Modim anachnu lach. Linda.
I'm grateful that for the fourth year in a row, the KILV community has come together to make cars and cookies and deliver bags of Hanukkah cheer to over 80 members of our Jewish community.
Linda's grateful that for the fourth year in a row, we're delivering Hanukkah bags to about 80 different members of our community to wish them a happy Hanukkah. Modim anachnu lach. Yes. For your what? So you're thankful for your daughter and your two beautiful grandsons. And your son-in-law. Modim anachnu lach. Donna. For our dogs and cats that grow old with us. Modim anachnu lach. Barbara. Barbara's grateful that Debbie, her daughter, is with her tonight to observe Alan's yahrzeit, and we're glad that you're both here as well. Modim anachnu lach. Yes. Rachel.
I always mention my seniors, and I'm very grateful that they are so accepting of my Judaism and love to hear me talk about it. And I took my menorah with me today and did the prayer and did the candles with them, and we love that.
So Rachel is grateful that she gets to share her Judaism with the seniors she works with, and that they're so accepting. Modim anachnu lach. Was there someone else back here? Yes, Carol.
I'm grateful that two of my granddaughters are here tonight and that the rest of my grandchildren and their parents will be in town tomorrow.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. I think you got picked up on the microphone there. So we're just going to say Modim anachnu lach. So I want everybody who hasn't spoken, and if you have spoken, you too, to hold in your mind that thing for which you're grateful as we say together, Modim anachnu lach. We pray silently through page 63.
Yisraelam Tosim Leolam Shalom Rav Yisraelam Tosim Leolam Ki Atahu Melech Adon Levo HaShalom Ki Atahu Melech Adon Levo HaShalom Shalom Rav Yisraelam Tosim Leolam Shalom Rav Yisraelam Tosim Leolam V'tov menecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים
With words of peace still warm, words of peace still warm on our lips, we join together in a prayer for peace for the state of Israel. You can find the prayer on this laminated handout that you should have received when you arrived. It's by Rabbi Karen Kedar, and we read it together. Peace, please. We gather together in faith and with hope to pray for peace and for the safety of the people of Israel and innocent victims amongst the Palestinian people. Help us, O Holy One, and protect us in our hour of need. Touch our hearts, lest they be hardened with despair. Guide our thoughts, lest they are overcome with fear. Bring healing to the wounded, strength to those in mourning, courage to those in fear, wisdom to those who lead. Yedid Nefesh, beloved one, reveal yourself and fill the world with your light. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Be quick, God of love, for the time has come. Have mercy upon us, eternal one of peace. We also sing and pray for the healing of people closer to many of us, perhaps in our own families, our own loved ones, perhaps ourselves, people in our lives who are sick in body, mind, or spirit. We think in this hour of prayer of Mac Beeson, Gershona Binyamina Bat Sarah Valevi, Rabbi Cohen, Chaya Shena Dinka Bat Esther Basha Vayosef, Ellery Einstein, David Eiskowitz, Rivka Elka Bat Root, Marianne Gardosky, Francis Gentlecore, Don Goldman, Rachel Goldstein, Jamie Gordon Rodriguez, Bobby Hamill, Harav Rachel Bat Fruma, Emily Hochstedler, Nick Jelinski, Diane Levine, Wilburn Nichols, Felice Price, Shauli Rosenberg, Dr. Norm Sarachek, Michael Scarce, Lissa Scarce, Susan Scarce, Peggy Stetner, Ethel Zager, Ziv, and Marcy Zolkos. I invite you to add any names to this list, the names of anyone for whom you're praying for healing tonight. Donna. With hope for healing in our hearts, we join together in the Mishaberach. The version we're singing tonight can be found in your insert.
אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. מי שברך אמותינו, שרה, רבקה, לאה ורחל. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, 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 and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. מי שברך אבותינו, אברהם, יצחק ויעקב. מי שברך אמותינו, שרה, רבקה, לאה ורחל. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, 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 and bless us as well.
May we soon know a complete healing of body, of mind, and of spirit, and indeed of our whole world, as together we say, Amen. So one of the interesting things about being Jewish, of course, is that we are Jewish here in America. There are Jews in Israel, and in fact, there are Jews all over the world, in cultures and communities much like ours and different than ours. So many of us are familiar with Yiddish, as whether we speak it or not, we're familiar that it exists. And Yiddish is a language that is a mixture of German and Hebrew for the most part. And it comes out of Jews living in Europe and sort of developing this mixed language of the language around them as well as Hebrew. But of course, it's not the only Jewish language besides Hebrew. There's also a mixture of Spanish and Hebrew called Ladino. And there's a whole long tradition of Ladino music and Ladino literature. And one of the favorites I know of this congregation and of this rabbi is a Ladino song for Hanukkah, which is actually kind of a kid's song. It's basically a counting the candles kind of song. And you can find the words to it on in here. And there's a dreidel picture on the page where you have the words. Rachel's going to sing it for us, but not just for us, with us.
Yes, it's interactive.
It's interactive, and you can get physically into it if you like as well. It's that kind of a song. Please, let's join together in Ocho Candelicas.
This is for Eric, who will probably have it in his head for a month now. That's what he tells me.
Hanukkah linda está aquí, ocho candelas para mí. Hanukkah linda está aquí, ocho candelas para mí.
Oh, una candelica, dos candelicas, tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas, cinco candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas, ocho candelas para mí. Os pastelicos vou cozer con almendricas y la hiel. Los pastelicos vou comer con almendricas y la miel. Oh, una candelica, dos candelicas, tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas, cinco candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas, ocho candelas para mí. Muchas fiestas vou fazer con alegrías y placer. Muchas fiestas vou fazer con alegrías y placer. Oh, una candelica, dos candelicas, tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas, cinco candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas, ocho candelas para mí. Hanukkah linda está aquí, ocho candelas para mí. Hanukkah linda está aquí, ocho candelas para mí. Oh, una candelica, dos candelicas, tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas, cinco candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas, ocho candelas para mí. Una candelica, dos candelicas, tres candelicas, cuatro candelicas, cinco candelicas, seis candelicas, siete candelicas, ocho candelas para mí.
Thank you so much for your leadership, Rachel, and thank you everybody for your tremendous energy and your ability to count, which is a great skill, especially on a holiday like Hanukkah. It's my pleasure to call forward Ed Rosenfeld, a member of our board, who's going to offer some greetings and announcements on behalf of the Board of Trustees.
Good evening. Shabbat Shalom and Happy Hanukkah. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I would like to thank those of you here in the sanctuary and online for joining us for our Shabbat service. A special thank you and greeting to our guests from the United Church of Christ in Nefs. Also, thank you to the Rabbi for her always inspired spiritual leadership, to all of our singers this evening. For the remainder of Hanukkah, join us in the social hall at 6 o'clock each evening for candle lighting, so that we continue to help make the world a brighter place. A note, tomorrow there's no Torah study. Instead, there is Shabbat Out of the Box, making cards for the community at 10 a.m. And let's see, on Sunday the 10th, this Sunday, join the religious school students at Temple Bethel for the community Hanukkah celebration. If you do plan to attend, please go online to sign up. Additionally, sign-ups are continuing for the introduction to Hebrew classes, which will begin in late January. More information is also available on the website. At the conclusion of tonight's services, join us for our Oneg Shabbat in the multipurpose room across the hall. Shabbat Shalom.
So the Hanukkah celebration on Sunday, it is something that the religious school is participating in, but it really is a community event. It's not a religious school event. So if you're like, yeah, I don't have kids in school, and so that's not for me, like, no, it's for everybody. It's being held at Bethel, and it's the whole community is joining together. There's a couple of holidays this year that we're doing all as one big Lehigh Valley Jewish community. I hope that you'll be able to join us from 10 to 12. It should be really fun. And Eric's doing the food, so. Brotherhood's doing is cooking, but Eric and Brotherhood, they're making it happen. It's my pleasure to call forward Z once again to lead us in Aleinu, and it's also my pleasure to call forward Carol and David Osfeld, who are going to open the Ark as we rise on page 282. You may be seated. This season of light in this season of light, a beautiful light has gone out. This week, the world lost a giant. Rabbi Professor David Ellenson, the president of the Hebrew Union College for many years, who oversaw many rabbinic ordinations in the Reform movement, including my own, and oversaw the training of rabbis, cantors, educators, and Jewish community professionals throughout the United States and Canada and Israel. He's left this world much too early. He left a tremendous legacy of scholarship of his own, and he raised a generation of rabbis, cantors, educators, and scholars. Having been one of the last of his ordinees, my colleague, Rabbi Josh Weinberg, wrote about Rabbi Ellenson's Zionism and his love for the people, the land, and the state of Israel, which I know is on many of our minds, and I'd like to share some of his remarks. So Rabbi Weinberg writes, quoting Rabbi Ellenson, "I really consider myself to be a failed Zionist. David, as he would always insist on being called, once commented. A failed Zionist because he described only truly feeling a sense of shlemut, not so much wholeness as normalization while in Israel, and especially during his year on Kibbutz Mishmar HaEmek after college graduation. Incidentally, immediately after the events of October 7th, Mishmar HaEmek opened its doors and made arrangements to host the surviving members of Kibbutz Nachal Oz, where they are currently living 2 months later. David loved Israel with all of his heart, his might, and his soul. He read in Hebrew not only ancient or philosophical and halachic literature, but also modern Israeli literature, novels, and contemporary scholarship. He once joked that he was sitting down on a plane and began to read the recently released book of a professor with whom he was to share the dais at a conference to which he was traveling. The passenger sitting next to him looked over and said, "Are you American?" He replied in the affirmative, to which his seat neighbor said, "Okay, I guess you did better than me in Hebrew school." Ellenson's belief in and embrace of Reform Zionism led him to find the balance of universalism and Zionist particularism, nation and religion, America and Israel, and individualism and communalism, all of which promoted an ethos that constructs a sense of meaning in today's world. Reform Zionism, according to Ellenson, provides that central repository of tradition, inspiration, and values that helped him, and hopefully his fellow American Jews, find that meaning. That meaning is something we're still aspiring to. And just like the lights of these Chanukiot dwindled and went out, a light leading us there has gone out. And so we must pick up the flame, pick up the shamash, and light it anew in his honor. Bracha. May our rabbi's memory be for a blessing. We also call to mind those in our personal lives, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, and the martyrs of our people and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We call to mind also the 6 million of our martyred brethren who perished in the Shoah, and all those who gave their lives in defense of Jewish ideals here in the United States, in Israel, and around the globe. May their memories be forever. Here in the Knesset Israel community, we remember those whose families are in the Shloshim period, the first 30 days of mourning. And if I read aloud the name of someone for whom you're saying Kaddish tonight, I invite you to rise if you're comfortable doing so and remain standing so that we might acknowledge your loss and envelop you in our love and our support. We remember Faina Ullman, whose family is in Shloshim. We also remember those whose yahrzeits occur this week, those whose anniversary of their death is observed. William Barish, Francis Black, Jean Brown, Carlos, Meyer Cohen, Alan Cohen, Benjamin Coleman, Bertha Fogelman, Sophie Goodfriend, Robert Hahn, Joseph Klein, Figa Klein, Howard Kramer, Herbert Levy, Benjamin Needwitz, Wilson Oberdorfer, Belle Parmet, Ann Parness, Nathan Puchat, Ida Ratner, Harold Roberts, Abraham Smith, Richard Stern, Irving Teplitz, and Doris Wolfson. I invite you to add any names to this list, the names of anyone for whom you're saying Kaddish today. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. We rise as one congregation and join together in praise of God's name with the words of Kaddish, page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, v'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'tmechon uv'chayei dekol Beit Yisrael, ba'agola uv'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shlam Rabbah mivarach le'olam olamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei kudusha b'richu, ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiran v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah bin Shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who makes peace in the highest heavens bring peace to us, to all Israel and all the world, and comfort to all who are bereaved, as together we say, amen. You may be seated. We're going to close our singing, or close our evening with the singing of Light One Candle, which can be found on page 367 of your prayer books. Is that right? Yes. Please, if you brought a Chanukiah, Toda Rabah, thank you for doing so. Please do not forget to bring it home. John and I, we're going to take bets on how many Chanukiot we're going to look at in the office all week. But if you don't have it, you won't be able to light it. So be sure to bring it home. I also want to thank our choristers and our choir director, Karen, and pianist, Karen Berta, as well as our wonderful volunteer choir. It's always such a pleasure to have you, and all in blue tonight. We can greet one another in the multipurpose room across the hall. Let's join together on page 367.
Light one candle for the Maccabi children. Give thanks that their light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when the right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. Light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. Light one candle for those who are suffering the pain we learned so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in. Let anger not tear with peace as the song in our heart. Don't let the light go out, it lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. What is the memory that's valued so highly that we keep alive in that flame? What's the commitment to those who have died when we cry out they've not died in vain? We have come this far, always believing that justice will somehow prevail. This is the burden, and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out, don't let the light go out, don't let the light go out.
Not by might, not by power, but by your Spirit, O Holy One of blessing. By our faith in you, will we find our way forward to light and to peace. Shabbat Shalom. Chag Urim Sameach.